John Wiley Price. To some, he's a hero, a champion of the African-American cause. To others, he's a troublemaker whose methods do more harm than good. Price says get used to it because he's not going away. But behind the tough talk and the controversy, there is another side of the Dallas County Commissioner you seldom see. The first thing you notice about Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price on this Sunday morning is that he's cradling a baby, and it's obvious the child is no stranger. It's just one of the many stories a lot of people don't know about John Wiley Price.
No justice, no peace.
We're not going into the issues of the czar.
We'll keep on coming.
We're talking about equity in the system.
For as long as it takes.
Someone had to take a stand. We took the stand.
This is a wake-up call for Dallas. We will not stop, nor will we ever be defeated.
They ain't seen nothing yet.
This is the John Wiley Price we all see.
He's ripping it off.
Breaking the windshield wiper off a car outside Channel 5 offices.
I'm gonna telegraph the news.
Can we talk to you real quick?
We will start making arrests immediately. If you do not see the area, you get in your cars and go home.
We thought we had a right to break up and protest, break up and go in and shop. They said we didn't have any rights.
Dallas police arresting Price.
So we're out here to stay. Can we get our way?
Holding up traffic with a protest.
There's no white plantation.
So you never feel in the least bit bad
Not at all.
about holding somebody up in traffic?
I don't have a gun. I'm not holding them up. I mean, the fact that they've had the power, if it was a wreck, tell them to consider it as a wreck every day. So don't go that way because it's a wreck out there. And until they get that wreck cleared, they're going to continue to be out there every day. And we don't go anywhere that we don't protest for a year and a half, 2 years. So you know it's a wreck there. If that calms your spirit and your mind, so you know I need to find me an alternate route, just like the traffic report says, because there's a wreck up there.
But there's a whole other John Wiley Price that never makes the nightly news. John Wiley Price grew up 30 miles east of Dallas in the little town of Forney, population 1,500. The oldest of 6 children raised in a modest home. His father was a truck driver turned minister. His mother, a maid. It was the 1950s, and there was no such thing as desegregation.
We went to school in the summer months, in the hottest months of the year with no air conditioning. We were in school. And what we used to say is when the summer was over, we would get out of school, and the white children went back to school. And we had to get out so that we could chop cotton, haul the hay, combine the maize, pull the cotton, and when all the crops were gathered, then we went back to school.
That experience and others like it ignited a fire in Price that never died. It is Men's Sunday at St. Luke's Community United Methodist Church in Dallas, and Bishop Garrett Benjamin is preaching to a packed house.
That's what the church is looking for.
That's right.
Some real men.
Come on, Bishop. Teach, Bishop.
Jesus said to
Price attends services regularly here. Most of the parishioners know him on a first-name basis, whether he's at church or on the steps of the jail where Price served time for the windshield wiper incident.
When I went to jail, we all went to jail, but when I came out, we all came out.
Price is popular in his own community, but the mere mention of his name raises the blood pressure of a lot of white people in Dallas. I'm sure it comes as no surprise to you that you provoke a negative reaction from a lot of white people.
You know, John Wiley Price, he ain't quite the kind of politician we want. It ain't for you to decide. That's the reason he got districts. If the community decide, you can try to influence it, but the community decide. It's not for you to decide that I'm not your kind.
Drive down the streets in Commissioner Price's district and you see poverty, drugs, and hopelessness. The problem is apparent. The question is the solution. Some of the black youth are saying, you know, all these programs that were supposed to help minorities, that were supposed to help our community, help like that we don't need. We've seen in the past 30 years, during this time of all these programs, a disintegration of the black community. There is no neighbor anymore because there doesn't need to be a neighbor anymore. I mean, I know you're familiar with what I'm talking about.
Very familiar.
Well, what do you think about that in terms of when you care about your people? I mean, what do you think about what's happened in the last 30 years?
If you let me feed you, I can determine how you're going to look. And what has happened is people have tried to feed us for too long. People have tried to say they know what's best for our community. That's the same thing with elected officials. We must decide the destiny of our community, and as the pastor talked about, we must be responsible. That's what the children are not seeing. They're seeing a community that is designed out of, quote, the war on poverty. I mean, you don't ask the same people, basically, really, that drop the bomb, to turn around and says, now we're going to repair your community. Yes, there needs to be a Marshall Plan, but we need to be marshalling the plan, and we need to be architecting the plan.
One of the things Price wants control of is who's teaching black children in Dallas public schools.
80% of the teachers are female. That's number one. Of the female teachers, better than 60% of the teachers nationwide are Anglo. And so they have a very difficult time dealing with young black boys. One of the biggest problems that I find in terms of dealing with this whole thing with zero tolerance is not to have to deal with young black boys who are perceived aggressive.
Price says you don't have to look any farther than the difference in black and white church services to see why it can be so difficult for some whites to understand black behavior.
You saw our church service this morning. You would not see that downtown in First Baptist. You would not see that downtown in First United Methodist. We're a Methodist church. You wouldn't see that. Because
I was brought up Methodist.
Well, but that's right. And you
different from my church.
That's exactly right. And what you saw was a different kind of spirit that is invoked, and it goes from our church all the way through. And so when a young person shows up in school with certain behaviors, you say, well, John, they're being very disruptive, and we're going to have zero tolerance. And as a result, that child winds up with a 2-day suspension.
Father and a baby doesn't make you a man. You have to be a father to a baby. Am I right? What was Bishop?
But it wasn't white misunderstanding the bishop was preaching about on this Men's Sunday at St. Luke's. It was black men taking responsibility for their children.
I listened to the bishop this morning as he talked about a woman cannot teach a man how to be a man. But in our community, we've got a lot of grandmothers who've taught men how to be a man. You know what you want in a man. And if you're raising a man, then you know how to raise a man. I know what I want in a woman, and I know how to raise a young girl to be a woman.
Price himself is the father of a son. Now grown, Price's son is a minister, and Price is a grandfather 3 times over.
Sweet boy.
You know, that's hard.
But it's not his grandchildren who sleep in the playpen beside John Wiley Price's bed. This is Nicholas, an abandoned 18-month-old crack baby who Price helps care for. He is in classes to become an adoptive parent.
Everybody's got a private part of my life. The public has me 99% of the time. My phone number's listed. They get a chance to, you know, shoot fingers and everything else at me. And that's just a part of my life I don't talk about. Hopefully, in a month or so, I'll be where I can adopt. But this has been going on for years. But it's the part, you know, you really don't talk about. It's like any other love.